Welcome to another segment of Lore You Should Know. I am Greg Tito, and I'm joined by a singular lore master today. His name is Chris Perkins.
Hola.
How's it going?
Great.
We are here, as we do in many of these segments, to talk about little bits of Dungeons & Dragons lore that you can use in your game or just for your own edification.
I love dumping my brain out during these things.
It's got tendrils of brain matter all over these microphones, in addition to the other stuff we're talking about.
Indeed.
So today is a very contentious subject amongst fiends. It is the Blood War.
Ooh, the Blood War.
Which I don't think even before I started working here, I knew there was a name for this ancient conflict between devils and demons. Right?
Yes.
That's it in a nutshell. But why?
Right.
Why do they hate each other, these people? These creatures?
Because evil consumes itself.
Oh.
It's like every evil party of adventurers that you've ever had in D&D. They're basically on a ticking clock, a countdown to self-annihilation.
How can we screw this up more so?
Right, yeah. I have yet to see an evil party that can basically sustain itself in perpetuity without turning on one another and devouring each other. This is an amplification, I think, of that very concept. The nature that in the primal universe, evil comes in many shades, but you can't, they just simply cannot coexist for any length of time.
Yeah.
Now, the Blood War kind of traces its origins back to one of the earlier editions. I think it first really came out in second edition with the Planescape setting, and there was a product devoted to it, and then its name just started coming up everywhere, and it just sort of, I think the nature of the name Blood War is evocative enough that people are sort of intrigued to learn more about it.
Right. Like what? Whose blood?
Yeah. And sometimes I know they're a little bit disappointed when they find out that it's an evil on evil thing.
Right, you think it has to do with like a schism between races or something
right.
like that.
Yes, but what happens is the abyss spawns an infinite number of devils constantly. And were there no powers in check to basically deal with that, demons would overrun the multiverse. But Asmodeus and his devils, who exist in the lower planes as well, realize this is a problem for them. And so they have basically forged a bulwark against the demonic invasion of the multiverse, because it doesn't serve Asmodeus's interests to let the abyss swallow up everything. Not when he wants to control everything.
I guess, that's a fundamental difference between demons and devils. Is demons just there's no thought of what's going to happen after they consume.
No, demons are about
something.
entropy and annihilation, and they have no will to do much other than to consume and destroy, and they give no thought to what would happen if they actually succeeded.
Yeah. Or they don't. If it is, they don't care.
Right. Their desires are insatiable, and they have no sense of real consequence to their actions. But devils, on the other hand, are all about power, control, tyranny, servitude, and they lose everything if the abyss wins.
Right, because they don't want everything to be destroyed.
Right. The problem that devils have is they do not have a way to create new devils except through the acquisition of souls, the corruption and acquisition of souls. So in order to sustain their armies, they have to go out into the world and corrupt more mortals so that their souls go to the nine hells and become more devils. And so they're constantly facing attrition while the demons are just spouting out more and more and more of them. Now, one of the advantages that the devils have is that they're highly organized, regimented, structured. They've got a pyramid structure, Asmodeus at the top, lemurs at the bottom, and a firm structure all the way up.
Yeah.
Whereas demons tend to be completely in disarray, disorganized. They often fight amongst each other. That bickering kind of makes it hard for them to defeat the organized forces of hell, even though they often outnumber them dramatically. So what happens is demons come swarming out of the abyss. They go up the river Styx, which bleeds into the first layer of the nine hells, which is called Avernus, and there these great battles are waged, for the most part. That's not to say there aren't other fronts, but by far the biggest front is Avernus, and
In the
that's where
first hell.
right, and that's where the devils meet the demons head on. The devils raise their fortresses up along the river. They assail the demons as they come through, and they send wave after wave of marched souls and slaves and whatever else they got, hell engines, out to crush the demonic spawn that have intruded upon their plane. And
Is this just a constant state of battle? Is there
Yes.
always
Yes.
this?
wave after wave,
And
this
never
going
and it
on.
never stops.
it's never ending. The demons are unrelenting.
Ooh.
So it is brutal and vicious, and that's why Avernus, the layer, is just sort of littered with and just sort of strewn with the ichor of slain demons and the destroyed hulks of infernal machines that the demons have torn apart. And then sometimes if the devils are really brazen, they'll be able to corrupt an entire city and drag the entire city into hell, and then convert all of those forces into legions they can throw at the demons. Like there's just no end to the ingenuity that devils will use in order to get people to fight their war for them.
Yeah.
But that's essentially the fundamental nature of the blood war is the demons rush to destroy everything and the devils throwing themselves at the demons to stop it. Now, there are other wars fought against demons here, there, and everywhere, but on the grand scale, there's really nothing to compare with the magnitude of the blood war.
Interesting. Now, we have also mentioned Yugoloths before.
I'm glad you brought them up.
Yes, because how do they figure into this
Yes.
conflict?
So I mentioned that sometimes they'll drag a city in or something like that. Well, Asmodeus, crafty fellow that he is,
Yeah.
Lord of the Nine, Master of the Nine Hells, he recruits Yugoloths as mercenaries and soldiers and drives them in droves against the demons as well. So you will often find Yugoloth companies in the Nine Hells fighting battles alongside the devils or separate battles in the layer of Avernus.
So even though by their nature Yugoloths are fiends that are neutral in the blood war, they
Yes.
will still just get the money and go
Yes.
wherever the money is.
And there are some demon lords who will have Yugoloths on their side as well.
Right.
If they can round up something that the Yugoloths want, would be a treasure or something else, they'll have Yugoloths on that side, and so you might have some Yugoloth on Yugoloth fights.
Yeah.
Each of them paid by the other side.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of these ideas are so intrinsic to D&D itself. I mean, it's really the idea of chaos versus order.
Yes.
Which is
yes.
really interesting to
Yeah.
think about, because it's not just, I mean, with both of them being evil, there's not the morality. It's more of like the ideas of freedom, and
Yeah.
not chaos, but of regimented order and things like that. And those are ideas that can
the
really
blood,
be powerful.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make. The blood war is not a battle between good and evil; it's a battle between law and chaos, and so it's unusual in that way.
Yeah, reminds me of Michael Moorcock and those.
Yes,
That's
very much so.
Vein of
Yes.
writing that it isn't the moralistic, romantic fairy tale that
Right.
a lot of D&D can be, and it's more about what would happen if there was the
Yeah.
absence of morality and just.
Now,
people
you
wanted
do
to-
see echoes of the blood war on other planes, like, for instance, on the material plane in a city. If there's a cult of Asmodeus operating out of Waterdeep, and they hear that there are demon cults spawning up in the city, you might basically see them throw down as well, because those demon cults represent an extension of the blood war. They could summon demons, and then suddenly you've got demons in the world to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, you'll often see diabolical cults of the Nine Hells come at them. And so a city might become embroiled in a blood war conflict between acolytes of the Nine Hells, devotees of Asmodeus, and the crazy demon-worshipping cultists.
Right, because I mean, if the devils don't have those recruiting centers set up in places of population, then then
Where are they going to get their souls?
Where are they going to get their souls?
Exactly.
Right, exactly. So the demons, even though they can be a mindless kind of chaotic horde, they also have
Right.
enough intelligent
Yes.
people, fiends on that
Yeah.
side to be
and
like, hey, we need
if
to
a
stop
demon
that.
lord hears that an entire city has fallen under the tyranny of a king devoted to Asmodeus, and that whole city might be corrupt, the demons might want to destroy it,
Right.
Because there's a million souls that will feed the armies that will come at them later.
If we're going to pick a target, let's pick one that
Yes.
the other side of the blood war has
Right.
got control over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not? That's interesting. So the shifting tracks a little bit to Out of the Abyss. There was demons. There was like the last time there
Yes.
was a lot of stuff written about demons in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Why didn't the devils get involved when the demons were rampaging through the Underdark?
That's a very good question. And actually, what we have talked about, this is a little behind the curtain peek.
Yeah.
When we were formulating the Out of the Abyss story, it was kind of part 1 of 2. And the second part would be dealing with the devils and how they respond.
Okay.
And the way we had sort of sliced it is the demons are boiling into the Underdark and all kinds of things going on down there. The second half of the story is the devils are trying to take over the surface. So you would have basically, the plane of the world kind of serving as the barrier between these two evil forces. And so one of the ideas we have is a story or stories that focus on Asmodeus stepping up to the plate.
Oh, I see.
And coming to cities in the Forgotten Realms, saying, you guys have a real problem. Demons have basically run roughshod through the Underdark, and they could boil up at any minute. I can help you with that.
I've got just the thing.
All you need to do is sign this, or something like that.
Right.
So, but he's waiting for those demons to boil up.
Right.
Because as the pressure builds and the terror mounts, that's when he moves in as Mr. Nice Guy and gets what he wants.
So the answer to the question is, why weren't they involved, is because the player characters.
Right.
The player characters kept
They kept the lid on the pressure cooker.
Exactly.
But if they ever step away and go off and do other things, like go to Chult or whatever, get dragged into Barovia, if the demons do come up, that's when Asmodeus is going to show up. And
it was you guys.
He's going to be a great
all
guy.
along.
He's going to be a wonderful, wonderful person. He's going to come in and, he's going to solve all your problems for you.
I love that you're getting at the characterization of devils in that way. I mean, that is such the quintessential thing, is that like, hey, I'm a nice guy. I'm going to help you.
We've always described in 5th edition, even though we haven't released much material about this yet, we often write documents that we keep in-house until such time as we have an opportunity to use them.
Right.
And we have extensive material on Asmodeus and his motivations. And we've always described him as being the nicest, most helpful person you'll ever meet in your life. He's the guy he's the ideal mentor, who owns the big yacht, who lives the partying lifestyle, but will do anything for you.
Yeah.
And there's no pretense about his goodness or his generosity. He is generous. He is a nice guy. He is the nicest guy. He rules hell, and he'll take souls, but that doesn't mean he's not a nice guy.
Right. He's doing it for you. He doesn't really want to do it, or at least that's all he puts forth until like you anger him or the temper breaks. Then you're like, all right, all the cards are off.
Exactly.
But initial contacts are going to be like, why don't we just agree to that? I'm just going to sign this because it's got a lot of good things going on in it. Right.
Yeah. He'd rather see you fall to your own failings than to push you off a cliff.
Interesting. Right.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned how there's that structure of like there's him at the top and then the ranks down below. Like how you want to talk a little bit about how those are defined and what that means?
Essentially that it's like a king in a court. Asmodeus is the king. Often challenged, but has never been knocked off his perch. He has dukes and archdukes and archduchesses underneath him that he appoints as stewards of the other layers of hell that he does not directly sit on. There are 8 other layers.
You see, he's on the bottom layer?
He's on the bottom layer, called Nessus, the 9th layer of the 9 hells. And he appoints vassals in the form of these archdukes and archduchesses to rule the other layers in his name. They must heed him or he will replace them, as he has done on many occasions. And they have under them, these archdukes and archduchesses have dukes and duchesses and viscounts and counts and generals and, commanders, and there's entire military structure under this nobility. And
so it's feudalism. It's basically like
it's absolute feudalism.
Yeah.
In its sort of purest, most avaricious form. And so there's constant political backstabbing, treachery, devils trying to rise through the ranks by seeing their graders fall and embarrass themselves.
Interesting.
And then you've got the armies, and they're sort of the dregs of diabolical society who are basically consigned to serving a function in a force and they really don't have much opportunity for ascendancy unless a devil sees something in them. A higher level devil sees something in them and promotes them. And then they transform. A devil will transform into a higher form if it earns a promotion.
Oh, okay. And it's just a automatic, like, okay,
Right.
because you are
Yes.
of this rank, you
So
are
an
of this form.
Aranese devil, for instance, who are these marshals who sort of control large forces on the battlefield, they can be promoted to, I believe the next stage up is Ice Devil. So they are physically transformed into this giant insectoid reptilian
Interesting.
devil
Right.
that has more power and clout within this feudalistic society.
Cool. And then, in contrast, the demons is basically flat organization, right? Where it's all the demon lords are on the same plane of. When we kind of say Demogorgon is above.
So demon lords are kind of measured in terms of their raw power.
Okay.
The Abyss has created. There's little rhyme or reason to how power is distributed throughout the Abyss. Some demons are created to be immensely powerful, and some just minor things. These immensely powerful ones will kill other demons and whatever it takes to crawl their way to the top, and other demons will serve them out of fear
Right.
of having their little bones crushed. But there's no greater structure, and there's no singular being at the top who's calling the shots and sending demons here, sending demons there. Every demon lord's got his own shtick, her own flavor, her own desires, her own form of entropy.
Yeah.
And they kind of all go off and do separate things and never consult with each other. And if they encounter each other, they're probably going to fight until one of them gets killed.
Yeah.
Devils, it's much more political.
Right. They will do that same thing, but they will do it behind your back.
Yes. Yeah. You won't know when it's coming. For the most part. Now, we're sort of straying a little bit, but there are some weird birds out there. The demon lord Grazit, for instance, is peculiar because he was a devil.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He was a devil who tired of he felt like he wasn't being recognized by Asmodeus.
Uh-huh.
So when he was sent into the Abyss to slaughter demons in Asmodeus' name and take the fight to the demons, he decided, I'm much happier here. I can carve out my own domain here, beat these demons into submission, and basically rule my own layers of the Abyss. And he's basically conquered 3 layers that way. And so he is a devil who basically transformed in a way, or was transformed through his exposure to the Abyss into a demon lord, and has now nested himself there, forsaking Asmodeus forever.
And Grazit is also he's always pictured as like a male seductor.
He's this ebony-skinned, horned being with cloven hooves, 6 fingers on his hands.
Oh, so that's where the cloven hooves comes from, is kind of the devil that's left. But
if you look at him, you would think devil.
Uh-huh.
His bearing, the way he thinks, is very not demon-like.
Got it. Interesting.
But he has survived in the Abyss and probably will for the foreseeable future.
Nice. All right. Well, I like all these ideas. I mean, I feel like there's ways to infect all of this into any kind of game that you're playing, as far as, there being a cosmic battle going on beyond the realm of the player characters. There's always something to kind of allude to, just in like broad strokes.
Or just this idea that, there are demons at the gate, and Asmodeus or one of his vassals shows up and offers a way to keep them at bay.
Right.
But the price you have to pay may be too great for your soul.
Yeah. Some really cool ideas there.
Yeah.
As well, I mean, I just like the cosmic of like, that's always happening in the background. Maybe we won't even experience it, in this campaign or this story. But there's that idea that, like, Michael fighting the devils, Michael the Archangel, kind of, you feel
another infernal iconoclast that we hope to talk about more in the future is Zariel. She is the Archduchess of the first layer, the layer of hell that's always under siege by the demons.
Right.
She used to be an angel.
Fallen angel story.
She's a fallen angel story. So just like Grast is a sort of a fallen devil, in a way.
Yeah.
She is a fallen angel. It's sort of a rare glimpse into how the angelic, the upper planes, view the blood war. Because the blood war is mostly playing out down in the lower planes, and has been more or less confined there, thanks to Asmodeus' efforts. The upper planes have been more sheltered from this. And most angels are like, we're happy leaving that fight down in the lower planes. Zariel is one who wasn't.
And then she got corrupted.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
She signed one of those contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that's another topic.
It seems like another topic.
We should jump into the upper planes because I didn't even realize how they were interconnected so much.
Yeah.
So another lore you should know topic coming at you pretty soon in a next week. So yeah, that's tons of fun stuff. How can people ask you questions? What's the best way to get in touch with you, Chris?
I am on Twitter at Chris Perkins DND.
Awesome. You can ask me any questions about lore or anything about Dungeons & Dragons at Greg Tito. And, of course, go to your local game store to pick up a copy of Out of the Abyss. If you want to find out about Demon Lords, all the ones that we've talked about, there's definitely a lot more information about them there.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back with another Lore You Should Know next week.